It's Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is November 8th. It's Tuesday, Joe. I'm Nick Testoni, as always. My co-host, Joe Briner. And we got him, Joe. We fucking got him. I'm skipping ahead to the news, but two guys I've been calling for their head all year, they're both gone. They're the only ones to be fired this year. And Frank Reich, enjoy unemployment. Now, this guy's going to get paid a lot of money to just sit on his ass and probably get hired. But I don't think he's a very good coach, and everyone else seems to think he is. I mean, I get he's been given a bad hand with the quarterback situation, but just how that last year wrapped up and how they really screwed it. All they had to do was win 1 out of 2 games against bad teams and how they closed the stretch. I mean, put some blame on this guy. But I know it's a hot opening, but go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say that Matt Rule is making big time money to not be coaching anymore too, because both of these guys are still under contract. So they're still getting their money. I mean, Matt Rule, I think we kind of assumed that Frank Reich was going to get fired earlier, to be honest. I know you were calling the shot early, especially when they tied Houston coming out week 1. They looked terrible. They got a couple wins in a row. That kind of saved his job for a little bit. But now with Sam Ehlinger at the helm, just giving up 9 sacks to the New England Patriots, I mean, it just made sense. The Colts have been a dumpster fire, but it was all Carson Wentz's fault. Let's definitely remember that. That is a big thing. But yeah, not too much to get into. You were especially, I definitely backed you, but you were especially all over both of these names, and they both got fired just before the halfway point of the season. So shout out to you.
And you know, the biggest loser in all of this, besides the 2 guys that lost their jobs, is Cliff Kingsbury becomes the next hottest seat.
Yeah,
with these 2 guys gone.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's gone too by the end of the year.
I got another real chance to win this week, and I know it's not going to happen. After watching McCole Hardman do what he did last night, I know I'm losing tonight. So that's fine. It's all right. I'll go to 1-8 and probably be locked in, but spoiling some. Let's get right into the news, Joe, and we'll just start with Frank Reich was fired from the Colts head coach position, and they named Jeff Saturday, who's been an ESPN analyst for as many years as he's been retired, a former Colts lineman, as their head coach. This is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen. This guy has 0 coaching experience outside of high school, and the best part is someone dug up the record from the final year he coached high school. They were 3-7. Now that might have no correlation, but he has 0 coaching experience outside of high school football, and they made him the head coach of the NFL team.
Well, is he the interim coach, or because?
Yes. Okay. But how often do you go outside of the organization and name an interim head coach?
Yeah.
It's usually just some guy who's next in line. I don't think I've ever heard of someone going out and getting an interim head coach.
I feel like I would have assumed that like the defensive coordinator, I don't know his name off the top of my head, would have become the interim head coach, because you usually would go to whichever side of the ball is like working better. That coordinator can probably step up and like take the reins for the whole team. So super weird. I did see the Jeff Saturday thing, but I wasn't certain if it was interim or not because I was at school, so I wasn't able to like look into it too much, but super weird. Also, real quick, I will give a shout out Andy Collins, our commissioner. The day we're recording it is his birthday, so happy birthday, Andy. I love you, and I hate you at the same time.
That seemed a little uncalled for. We're not in the business of handing out birthday wishes. Aaron Jones, I don't know when he left the game, but did leave in a boot. I think they said
third quarter. I think he left,
saying a high ankle sprain. That could be almost a month.
Well, I think Romeo Doubs is a high ankle sprain. I think Aaron Jones, the most recent update I thought I saw was that they didn't get much from the x-rays, that they're thinking that he might even be able to play next week. I thought that was the most recent thing that I saw.
Well, Romeo Doubs also left high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
They also lost Rashad Gary, one of their best defenders for the year. But it's not looking good in Green Bay. They lost again.
I think David Bakhtiari got hurt too.
Yeah, and he came back into the game. He went out for a pass. He was the intended wide receiver on it, one of those goal line interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not looking good in Green Bay. I don't know. Even if I'd have to look at Aaron Jones' totals from yesterday, but I know he had a good game a couple weeks ago and last week. I mean, there's nothing good happening in Green Bay offensively besides Allen Lazard, who continues to just be super steady as like a solid floor wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean,
Christian Watson with the concussion as well. Just to add on to Green Bay.
If you were like back in the day, last year, earlier this year, like before it's kind of gone south, if you had A.J. Dillon and you knew Aaron Jones was going to miss a week or two, wouldn't you be really excited about that? I don't know if you are. I mean, would you want to play him?
Their schedule's not that great for the next couple weeks either, so it's kind of gross to think that usually A.J. Dillon would be the guy that could just step right in and I don't know. I mean, Aaron Jones has been on and off. He's been good, don't get me wrong, but he's also had some terrible weeks involved with this whole Green Bay Packers offense. So I don't think you're like ecstatic to really get A.J. Dillon in the lineup, even if Aaron Jones isn't playing.
Mark Andrews missed Monday Night Football. The Ravens are going on bye. And then Gus Edwards, by the time you hear this, you'll know if he played. I don't think he's going to play. Recording before Monday Night Football, but both those guys, I kind of thought they weren't going to play anyways because the Ravens are going on bye. There's no need to rush it. They are in a matchup that they shouldn't necessarily need these guys to beat the Saints, but, we'll know by the time someone's listening to this. Josh Allen, elbow, feeling slight pain in an undisclosed. It's undisclosed the severity of the injury that happened in the Jets game, but, if he was able to throw that last pass, I mean, he was still slinging it.
I saw him grabbing it a couple times, but I don't think it's anything to really.
It didn't look like it affected his arm strength at all.
No,
so.
he did throw that last ball like 65 yards with ease. So I think he'll be fine. I just added it on here just because it was something that was noted that he was feeling pain and that it's kind of undisclosed, something to monitor at the very least.
It should be known also that Odell Beckham Jr. Was cleared, I believe, by doctors for the start of this week, and there's extreme interest from the Cowboys. I believe also the Bills were in on him. So very interesting to see how you would roster him because he's not. You can't use him for an IR spot, I don't believe.
Yeah, you can't, but it's just weird because even if he goes into one of these situations, like, how much are you going to love it from the teams that it's been there? Like the Bills, where does he fill in? Does he become like the slot guy that hasn't really been performing yet? Gabe Davis, is there obviously with Stephon Diggs. Cowboys, Michael Gallup's been somewhat getting involved, but obviously CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz been getting back to it too. Like, at least those two teams, you can't really be excited for the fact of Odell going there. If anything, it just like takes a dip for the other wide receivers involved if OBJ is going to steal some of that work. So I'm not really excited about it. I had him for a little bit on my lineup in my roster, just kind of holding it to see what happens. But the more I think about it, the more I just don't even think he's going to be worth it. Like the situation with the Rams last year was kind of perfect for him, and he was able to be that wide receiver 2 that they needed with Robert Woods gone. But I just don't really see that being the case at any of these teams that he's drawing the interest from. I don't know.
I'll push back a little bit. I actually think the Cowboys is a good situation. I don't think Buffalo would be terrible. I think it's another option for them. Gabe Davis is not a guy who demands a lot of targets. His route tree is very limited. He goes down the field.
Yeah.
He's had more than 3 catches in just 1 game he's played this year. So Odell kind of opens that up a little more. And then I think Dallas is a really good fit because, to be honest, Michael Gallup is getting involved, but I don't see the production there. I think it helps CeeDee. I think it helps Dak. I think Dak's value goes way up if they end up adding Odell Beckham Jr. So I think the Cowboys could probably be the best fit, especially because they could use another offensive piece. They have Pollard and Zeke, but just one more guy in the passing game would help with that, especially with Dalton Schultz being in and out. That was the news. Let's get into the irrelevant TDs of the week.
Who in the blue hell are you?
Not a ton, but we got some. It was the first time I was able to kind of watch the 1 o'clock games. I went up to Philly. I was in a sports book with a couple of young gentlemen who are in our league. You may know them as Jackson Elliman and Diego Grijalva. There was a nice big screen of Red Zone and then a bunch of other games right around it. So it was good. Very good time to watch games. With that being said, there were still a couple scores that really ticked me off. And it starts in Houston with Tegan Quitoriano. I don't even know if I said that right.
Nice. Sounded pretty good.
This happened on Thursday. Obviously, we knew both wide receivers were out for Houston, but it wasn't even O.J. Howard, who seemed to be, I guess, the most known commodity at tight end for the Texans. It was this Tegan guy. He's on 0% of leagues. It shocks nobody. All right, the next 2 are from Carolina, and Carolina almost did the unthinkable with the 3-peat. Carolina was trailing all game, a nice backdoor cover. That's for Jackson Edelman out there. They had 3 touchdowns, 21 points, and all 3 of them, it was so close to where all 3 of them could have been irrelevant TDs of the week. First one, Tommy Tremble. Second time on here, the tight end. 0.4% of leagues. The second one was started last week in our league, and he's owned in 1.3. Raheem Blackshear, not Donta Foreman. That one killed me.
Yeah.
The third one, unfortunately, he was owned in 5.1% of leagues, just clearing the
Is that your threshold of 5%?
5%. Was Terrence Marshall Jr. was the third person to score.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Carolina almost got every score, 3 of them in the irrelevant TDs of the week. In Detroit, Shane Zylstra. I guess he's taken over for the Hawk. He scores. He's owned in 0% of leagues. And then here's a good one, Joe. I remember seeing this, and Diego, who does not listen to the podcast, said we said irrelevant TD of the week, and he goes, "Oh, that should be a segment on your podcast." I went, "Oh, it actually is."
Nice, thanks,
every
Diego.
week.
Appreciate the support, brother.
But tell me if you know this guy, Joe. Dax Milne, 0% of leagues for the Commanders.
Yeah. Oh, I know him. I know him very well. He's a kick returner, punt returner kind of guy. Really punt return. I think AG's been doing the kicks, but this is the guy that was involved with the Zach Wilson scandal. This is the guy from BYU.
This is the guy from BYU, huh?
Correct. He's the one that's been
So he's been
now.
dating Zach's
I think he's
ex.
with Zach's ex. Correct. Yep. And then
the trauma.
Yeah, I know. So this was wide receiver 1 for Zach Wilson, I believe, at BYU.
And
now he's
wide receiver 1 for the Commanders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
0.0% of leagues. I think 3 out of the 5 are 0.0s. I don't know if that's the most zeros we've had in this
Not
segment,
a ton of irrelevant touchdowns
Yeah.
a week. I mean, there's people who scored who had to. There obviously people had down weeks. I think scoring was.
I mean, this was a down week in general. There was only one team in our league, at least, that really obviously Derek went off this week. And in any of my other leagues, there's like one of my other leagues had 2 teams get over the 150 mark. That was it. So I mean, a lot of bad matchups, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I will say, for the first time ever watching Red Zone and like all day. Now, I'll tell you the one thing that sucked. There's 6 teams on bye, and spread the schedule out 2 4 o'clock games.
Know.
Give me at least 3 so you can
That
whip
was
around
gross.
something. But I will say, it seemed like maybe the scoring outside of the Bengals wasn't like a ton, but there was a lot of action going on. A lot of close games. But anyways, that was the irrelevant TDs of the week. Joe, I'll let you take it away with the soups of the week.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty short list. I mean, there's some big names that had big days, obviously, but like we mentioned, it was definitely a low-scoring week. Unless you had these top 3 guys, you didn't really have any crazy booms happening. Obviously, Joe Mixon, 5 touchdowns, the soup of the week, the only man to get over 50 points this week.
I will say, for everyone who has followed along, the relationship Joe Mixon and Soup have is an all-time classic. Soup had
toxic.
Joe Mixon for 2 years, didn't do a thing. The last 2 years, he's been great, and it seems like every time Joe Mixon decides to really go nuclear, it's against Soup. So the group chat was lighting him up. We were having a good time. Tough week for Soup. I tried to get him on today. I think he's going to be on for the Saturday episode, so he can kind of get into it more. But boy, I was really looking forward to some hot steaming soup coming out on for this Monday episode.
I mean, he was definitely pissed. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall wherever he was watching this game, because Joe Mixon just comes from the dead to just ruin Soup's life at any chance he can. Keeping it moving, though, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, the only other guys at 30-plus here. Cooper Kupp, I don't think he got 30-plus except in ours because we do the bonuses, yada, yada. So he did get to the 30. Devontae Adams, big bounce-back week. I think everybody could have expected that. No way that he was going to get 1 catch back-to-back weeks. But
very quiet in the second half, though.
Yeah, he was. The Jaguars were down 17-0, and I told somebody that I was watching with, sitting right next to me, his name is Max. He was watching Derek and Andy's with us. I was like, dude, Jacksonville's still going to win this game. Sure enough, they come back. The Raiders have been blown leads all year. Got some more guys on this list. These are the 20-plus guys. Austin Eckler, Kenneth Walker, another 2 touchdowns for that man. Oh, my goodness. Christian Kirk with a big day. Travis Kelce, no surprise. Tyreek Hill, Dallas Goedert with a great Thursday night. Travis Etienne continues to get it done. Derrick Henry found the end zone twice. This is a sit of the week. I have a little idiot in parentheses because it was my sit of the week. Hey, I've been calling my shot on the big names. I was due for one of them to still go off. He did find the end zone twice, like I mentioned. Justin Jefferson, consistent. Joshua Palmer, I added on this list down at the bottom, 19.6. He just barely missed it. And
this is bullshit.
Nicole Hardman. McCole Hardman 19.9. I'm just
No, you got to
mentioning.
get 20 to get on here, first of all, Joe. And second of all, I went back and looked. Your start of the weeks were Joshua Palmer / Gerald Everett.
Oh,
So you were
Gerald Everett's on the bottom. Don't you worry. He's on this list,
well,
but just
just
not for
thought
the good one.
you sneaked him in. He was
I
pulling
had
four
to. Come
away.
on, dude. I had
I didn't do
fucking
it. I didn't do it earlier in the year. I had someone who got to like 19 points something, and he was my start of the
well,
week.
well, you should have done it. You can't fault me for trying
Too
to.
committed. Too
Joshua
committed to my game.
Palmer, he had a great week. 19.6. Give the man some credit. He was a half start of the week.
Well, it's him and a
Um,
bunch of grocery baggers who are out there
I
catching
know.
footballs for the Chargers.
No kidding. And we have our QBs, Justin Fields, top QB of the week, going off. Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Josh Allen, Geno Smith. Those are your top 5 guys. Geno just snuck over the 20-point mark, I believe. But
Late push for him.
yeah, for sure. Justin Fields continually gets it done on the ground 4 weeks in a row now as a top 5 quarterback, I believe. I think he's the QB1 throughout these past 4 weeks. Crazy stuff. Then we get to some duds, some Tyler's of the week.
Yeah, Mo, that team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
We have a lot of starts and sits of our calling on these lists, starting with Adam Thielen, your start of the week.
Let me just speak to that. I thought he was gonna have a better week. I don't think I realized how much TJ Hawkinson was going to be involved.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, he had 9 targets. He was a great part of the offense, and it looks like his targets are going to cut into Adam Thielen. So that one's on me. I did not realize that TJ Hawkinson, after less than a week in the system, good for him. He got in there and got some work.
Yeah, and I think that's just showing what's to come because I think TJ Hawkinson will continue to be involved in that offense, to be honest. So good for TJ Hawkinson managers. Jacoby Myers, your sit of the week. Good call there. The secondary in Indianapolis shut him down. Robert Tonyan, Gabe Davis, Gerald Everett, my start of the week. He had like 5 or 6 catches, but only for like 30 yards, I think it was. Romeo Dobbs, he caught the first play on offense for the Packers, 18-yard catch. Got his ankle rolled up while he getting tackled. Just sucks to see. He was my flex this week too, so that really sucked to know that there's just no more points possible to be scored from him. Antonio Gibson, one of my starts of the week. The running game for Washington was terrible. There's no way to talk around it. Antonio Gibson didn't even get involved in the passing game really. Was just a weird day for the Washington offense in general. Clyde makes this list. He's no stranger to it. Mike Evans with a down week. The Bucks just look terrible, even though they got the win. Tyler Higbee with the goose.
I was gonna say,
Crazy.
Is Brian Robinson on this list?
I don't think I put him on this list just because he wasn't started. I don't think he probably got started very often. No. He wasn't started in our league, so I didn't put him on here. But
I was gonna say both him and Gibson. There was really, and with no McKissick either.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings' rushing defense has actually been a lot better than people would probably think when you're going up against Minnesota. In years past, you've been able to run on them, but fantasy-wise, they've actually been I think they're like a top 10 rushing defense now. Kyle Sneaky Pitts. Amon-Ra St. Brown, even with no TJ Hawkinson, that game was just weird. No offense on either side, really, in Detroit or Green Bay. David Montgomery, DJ Moore, Deontay Foreman, Deion Jackson, Conk.
Unbelievable.
Conk just missed.
Tyler Conklin lives to fuck me right now.
1.7. Yeah, I know. Just crazy. Aaron Jones had the ankle injury, didn't return, but didn't really do much before that anyways. Michael Pittman, the Colts offense is
you just put every in general on here.
Terrible. Yeah, exactly. Devonta Smith on Thursday night did not get involved. DeAndre Swift got involved with the passing game, but only had 2 carries. God, I don't know what's going on there. Raheem Mostert, your start of the week. Jeff Wilson.
Well, Raheem Mostert scores a touchdown and can't even get 10 points.
I know.
And again, this is more like it was
Jeff
a good
Wilson
matchup.
getting the passing work.
Another guy, Jeff Wilson, was traded this past week, and it was a true split.
Yep.
So I think this is a true committee for the rest of the way. Obviously, coming from the San Francisco system, and it's still kind of here with Mike McDaniel, but crazy. I mean, I had no idea that some of these guys on a, somewhat of a short week, because you're getting traded. You're not just there in a heartbeat and studying the playbook. These guys are involved. I mean, I think this is a real hit to Mostert's value for the rest of the season.
Oh, it definitely is.
He's no longer a bell cow.
I think Jeff Wilson was able to come in so easily because he obviously knows Mike McDaniel's offense, like in San Francisco. Jeff Wilson had no problem getting involved there, splitting the carries and getting the passing down work where he found the end zone. Drake London, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd round out the Tylers of the week. Drake London
got
and Kyle
mugged.
Pitts. Yeah, he did.
Did you see that?
When he got absolutely just decked.
I mean, he just got his cookies taken from him.
Yeah.
And it was, oh God, it was.
The Atlanta offense.
Yeah. I was going to say this was, it almost worked out. We made a couple live bets there, and one of mine was Washington to cover plus 6.5, which was good. Nice. And then I also had the 64.5. I took it at halftime, the under for the Bears, Miami. And they just wouldn't stop scoring. And of course, once they got to like 66, they stopped scoring. But the other one I had
they knew
was
the line.
Huh?
They knew the line, of course.
Of course. And then the other thing was I had Atlanta money line. And that game was really back and forth. So I would have been more invested in it if Miami didn't start scoring. But there was a couple close things I was watching. I was really invested in Atlanta at that time. And I just thought, Drake, buddy. I mean, go down for God's sakes.
Yeah, no kidding. But a couple of Bengals here at the bottom, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Boyd.
No, well.
I mean, it's because it was a Joe Mixon show. Yeah, it was a Joe Mixon show. It really was. The offense was humming, but every time they got down to the red zone, Joe Mixon was putting it in. So can't really complain too much there. Bottom QBs of the week, Marcus Mariota, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Taylor Heineke, and Tom Brady. Herbert, he's just not been finding the end zone either. He's just been another quarterback that's still getting the yards, but not finding the end zone. Austin Eckler's been doing that. Aaron Rodgers threw like 800 interceptions, looked terrible. Heineke had a terrible interception late in the game that actually cost them the win here, I would say. And Tom Brady.
Be honest with you. Sorry to speak ill on your rushing guy, but the touchdown pass he threw was a terrible throw. I don't know.
Well, yeah, shout out to that ref because that was going to be an easy interception if that dude didn't run into the ref. And then Curtis Samuel caught the ball, didn't even get touched, rolled backwards into the end zone. So that was kind of cool. But Taylor Heineke would have single digits if that didn't happen. And then Tom Brady, no stranger to this list, as shocking as that is. And those were the soups and Tylers of the week. I mean, a lot of Tylers, about half as many soups this week. So, like we mentioned, unless you're a Derek in our league, you can't really be too happy with how your week went. I mean, Jackson's probably going to have a good week. He has Alvin Kamara still to go. But with that being said, I'll just hop right into these matchups. Derek versus Soup. This is one of the ones that got ugly early, to be honest. Derek had Joe Mixon, obviously, so against Soup, the Joe Mixon manager of 2 years in a row.
Early and often.
Early and often, yeah. No way to beat around the bush there. Derek's team went off. He doesn't have a single guy in the single digits until you get down to his defenders. Joe Mixon had 56. Cordell Patterson found the end zone twice. Tyler Lockett found the end zone. Joshua Palmer had 8 catches for 100 yards. Travis Kelce, 10 catches for 100 yards. Curtis Samuel found the end zone. I mean, Geno threw two touchdowns, 195 points. He's going to advance to 6-3 after beating Soup. Soup had 124. He had Tyreek Hill put up 28 for him. That was his big score of the week. No other guy hit 20 except for Jalen Hurts, who had 20 on Thursday. So Soup's going to drop to 3-6. Poor Soup. I don't know what to say, but Soup gets shafted by his old pal Joe Mixon. Derek's going to advance to 6-3. Will still be in second place. Odds are, he'll be tied with somebody because depending upon who wins between me and Wills, and if Atkins beats you, he'd still be tied for second. So Derek will still be in second place following this. Soup is going to drop to 3-6. We also have Andy versus Diego, the birthday boy. Birthday boy's not going to win. He has 1% right now, but he has 92. Diego has 125. They both have a defender to go.
A couple of Baltimore Ravens defenders.
Yep, Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, a couple of Baltimore Ravens linebackers. Andy had Tua put up 25. Zach Ertz and Allen Lazard both found the end zone, 15 and 18, and then every single other player in the single digits. Aaron Jones, Khalil Herbert, Michael Pittman, and Devonta Smith. They all could have been. I could have even put Khalil Herbert on the Tylers of the week, but I didn't. On the flip side, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Brooks, 12 tackles and a pass deflection, 14 points in his linebacker position. That's where Diego got the majority of his points for his 125, where Diego is going to kind of get away from the 4-game losing streak. He's going to move to 5-4. Andy's going to drop to 3-6. Andy bought a win last week. I don't know if he's going to be buying anymore anytime soon. We'll see what happens. Next year, we do have Spano and Jackson. Jackson just running through the league right now. Jackson is down by 0.4 points right now, but he has Alvin Kamara and Isaiah Likely to play tonight. So you can only assume I'm going to write this one up as Jackson's advancing to 8-1. Spano's dropping down to 3-6. Spano's at 116. Bobby Wagner and Josh Allen are his two high scorers. Josh Allen had 24. Bobby Wagner had 19 in the linebacker position. Damian Pierce with 14.9 on Thursday, obviously. Jerry McLaurin, 5 for 56. Nothing to be excited about, but also nothing to scoff at. Jackson on the flip side had Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, both had good weeks. DK Metcalf found the end zone, 14 fantasy points. Nothing to go crazy about. Josh Jacobs, another down week, 11.7, but really nothing to worry about, I would say. Josh Jacobs is going to continue to get the work, 17 carries, 3 catches. 20 opportunities. You're not upset in any way, shape, or form. Then we have our other 3 matchups that are still going to be determined by Monday Night Football. I'm up by 49 points right now against Wills. But he still has Lamar Jackson, so there is still a chance. He has Lamar Jackson, but he's highlighted by Austin Eckler's only 20-point scorer who had 24. He's sitting at 81. I'm sitting at 130 right now. He still has Lamar, like I said. On the flip side, I have Kenneth Walker with 28.9, found the end zone twice. Diggs, 14.3, had 93 yards, but only 5 catches. Ramondre Stevenson found the end zone also at 16 points. And Joe Burrow, he didn't have to do that much, so I'm glad he got what he did, to be honest. He had 2 touchdowns, 19 fantasy points. So, like I said, I'm up by 49. He still has Lamar. We'll see what happens. We'll recap it. You already know by the time you're hearing this, but we'll recap it next episode. Bryce versus Sam Smith. This is a pretty close one here. The projection's 113 for Bryce, 111 for Sam Smith. Bryce is up by 4 points right now with Justin Tucker still to play. And Sam's obviously chasing 4 with Pete Werner still to play a linebacker. Could go either way. Obviously, I think you like to have Bryce's situation here. You'd rather have the kicker and up by 4 points. Yeah. But we'll see what happens there. Bryce is 3-5. Sam's 4-4. They're both trying to make a push to sneak into that 6th spot, I would say, if they can go on a little run. So we'll see what happens. Sam's got to be happy to just be in contention with McCaffrey, Barkley, Amari Cooper, all on bye this week. Yeah. And lastly, we do have your matchup against Atkins. This is another close one, 121 to 122 is a projection. Atkins projected to lose by 1 point right now.
Which means he's winning.
You're stuck at 122, and Atkins is at 107 while he still has Chris Olave to play tonight. We'll see what happens there. You two, and then Bryce and Sam are the 2 super close ones still. Atkins is sitting at 5-3. You're sitting at 1-7 right now. So we will recap that one.
So you know exactly how it's going to go.
So we should put our life on Chris Olave to have.
You should. And guess what? In a way, I've hedged because in my other league, I decided not to play a defense because I wanted to keep it, and my bench is too good. And I'm playing the worst team in the league, and I'm trailing by 4. And he's done. I could pick up the Saints defense and have 2 people left, but I'm saying fuck it. And all I need is 4 points from Olave. So he's either gonna I'm getting a win tonight, some way, somehow. By hook or crook, I'm getting a win tonight. I don't care.
So if he scores 5 points, you're perfect.
Perfect. Anywhere between 5 and what am I up by here? Like 15?
15, yeah.
So somewhere between 5 and 15 would be golden.
Definitely doable. Definitely. Hoping you get the double win there. Ooh. And that wraps up the fantasy matchup recap. Shout out Derek, Diego, and Jackson. They all get to go on a Monday night with no worry whatsoever. Get a nice win on the week.
Yeah, it's some great stuff. All right, hey, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll recap everything that happened on a wild Sunday. How about that, Joe?
That sounds amazing. Just sounds great.
We'll be back.